only has it become acceptable to publicly shame, but at often points it's become expected or felt that you have a responsibility to publicly shame and to publicly attack and bring down people, because we've now all got this voice. We're now all a media together, so we need to attack in this way, which is a bizarre and cold
it's disproportionate punishment.
Yeah.
People do stupid things.
Yeah.
And they are then, disproportionately punished for it.
Yeah.
And it shuts off. There's just two. There's just been two in the last couple of days. There was that guy Tim Hunt, the scientist who went to South Korea and made this speech, this fucking idiotic speech, where he said, the problem with women scientists is that like straight away it's shut the fuck up. The problem with women scientists is that they you fall in love with them and they fall in love with you. They're distractingly sexy, and if you criticise them, they cry. So he sort of chuckled to himself and got off the stage, and then was fucked. And, of course it was a completely idiotic thing to say, but now he's been fired and, and that's it now for his career.
Yeah.
So, because social media demanded it.
Yeah.
Obviously what he said was idiotic and reductive and doesn't help social justice and doesn't help women scientists. But was his, total career destruction the only solution to it? Yeah, the only option. Yeah. Not necessarily.
Yeah. No, it is a fascinating, bizarre one. It's caused us to have far more of a killer instinct in that manner than it is now. It's like, right now, they need to be sacked. It's like, is this the first time he's done this? Is this a serial?
I don't think so. I mean,
often without a level of being informed, we're quick to go, right, that person is evil.
Yeah,
and therefore this happens.
Exactly. I'm going to say this in this talk I'm doing tomorrow. You can lead a good ethical life, but some bad phraseology and a tweet can overwhelm it all and become a clue to your secret inner evil. Which isn't true about humans by and large. Some people are so bad and their transgressions are so bad that they deserve to be overwhelmed by them. They deserve to be defined by them, but most people aren't that. And the other one that happened is, and I believe with this guy Tim Hunt. I mean, I'm not entirely sure about this, but I believe this was isolated stupidity,
right? Yeah,
and not a
series of
not a series.
And again, it's a weird thing. I remember when I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was a while after. I can't think of the guy's name, but it was a big American football kind of owner, and a mistress of his or something had leaked recordings of him being really racist, just hideously racist. And my natural instinct is, what a piece of shit, what a horrible person can he? But Rogan's argument was, he is that, but he said those things in his own home behind closed doors, and there's a level of, it's not really our place or business to attack that. Do you know what I mean? His privacy has been invaded. So whilst I do think he's horrible, I also think we shouldn't have the right to know about that or to attack him for that. And it was kind of, he should be suspended and kicked off, and a lot of stuff like that happened. And it was a curious thing there, how it became what was a public issue or what was a private issue became a public issue. And it's weird knowing where that level is, because again, whilst I completely agree that if this was an isolated incident with this Tim Hunt guy, then as you said, is that the only solution? You'd think that if it's an isolated incident, it could be isolated publicly, but it could be something that he expresses and feels regularly privately. But again, does that then become under our jurisdiction as complete strangers to him, and does that affect what he should be doing career-wise? It's fascinating.
And also when it's just one after the other too, you just start to think, God, this is just everything's fine.
What was the other one this week?
Well, the other one this weekend is a more complicated one, which I weighed in on.
Of course.
And it was this woman called Rachel Dolezal.
Yes.
So, she's the head of the Spokane chapter of the NAACP.
Yeah.
And it turns out that she was faking being black. She was white.
Yeah.
So I looked at this, like, the paper, and I thought, fuck, what a weird, strange...
It's really bizarre
complicated,
and
bizarre, fascinating, mysterious story. So I went on Twitter, and Twitter, by and large, wasn't thinking of it as a complicated, fascinating, mysterious, Sorry, Twitter was like rushing to... I mean, some people were being funny about it, and funny is good.
Yeah.
But a whole bunch of people were going, blackface, racist, racial appropriation and so on. And I just thought, it seems to me that this woman's story is really complicated.
Yeah.
And to just immediately define her before we know any of the facts is not judicial.
That's been in my exact feeling on it is I need to know a bit more before I think
there's nothing wrong with a bit of waiting.
I think there's no way that I'm going to be convinced she's right as such, but it's a thing of trying to figure out how wrong she is. You quite quickly, on the tiny bit of research I did, her family, the family she grew up in, they adopted a lot of people of different ethnicities. So I don't know, it's an odd thing where she may have grown up submerged in that culture, and therefore, in a way, if she hadn't pretended to be part of that culture, she would be a strong ally in that, in fighting for rights, and there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. But it's the fact that she kind of made her hair curly and got tanned that it kind of was like... And the actual interview where it was exposed was just the most bizarre and awkward thing of them just saying, are you of African origin? And she just kind of said, I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, damn, that's...
But then this person's life... I mean, this is really weird and but it did strike me that this person's life then becomes everybody's plaything.
Yeah.
And that's what... And it's some people's ideological plaything, and it's for other people it's just something to be funny about, and then for other people it's just something to scream at.
Yeah.
And I just felt, maybe after like 30 years of dealing in this kind of world, of being a journalist.
Yeah.
When I looked at all of this, in all honesty, I thought, I don't know if I've got the stomach for this anymore. It's like we know nothing about this woman's life. We know nothing about her.
Yeah.
This is obviously like fucked up and complicated. I don't want her to be my plaything. I want her to have some humanity and I want people to be compassionate.
This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction pieces. This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction pieces. This piece of